Hey guys, welcome back to Leg by Leg. Today I'm talking with Lara Molloy. She ran the Central District's long distance champs on the weekend, and we're going to dive into just three main legs. There were three legs that I thought were particularly gnarly. Very detailed contours and lots of repeating features, and let's see how she handled those legs in the context of a long distance orienteering course. Hi Lara.
Hi.
Hey, thanks for coming on Leg by Leg. So what I was hoping to do today is do a deep dive on some of the legs on this course, particularly some of the longer ones, because they're going across these big blocks with lots and lots of contours, and it's pretty hard to handle that, I think. So we're going to have a look at 6 to 7, 9 to 10, and 10 to 11. We'll restart the GPS quickly, and maybe you can tell us a little bit about the terrain and whether you enjoyed it or not, just at the beginning of the course.
Yeah, so it's kind of start off your pretty classic kind of pine forest, sand dune terrain. First part, the open was quite fast running. The stripes was definitely a lot slower.
What is the undergrowth?
The undergrowth, yeah.
Well, what is this the bracken, or are these branches on the ground?
It was a lot of I think branches, mostly kind of dead stuff.
Oh yeah.
Which was a bit harder to get through. Yeah.
Cool. So definitely slowing you down. You guys are taking the track.
Yeah, I think 3 to 4. I was debating whether or not to go east to the track and then cut through the forest like Marina did. But I think I kind of decided the small amount of undergrowth I went through going to 3, it was not worth cutting across that much forest.
Right, so it's definitely slowing you down. Cool. Well, let's have a look. Well, I start from 6. So when you're looking at a leg like 6 to 7, and we're going to assume that the tracks are not really an option in this case. I'm interested in the contour interpretation.
Yeah.
What are you looking for?
Looking for any really obvious hills that will go past along the way. So you can kind of see just over halfway along, there's the hill that's straight under the line that has the green stripe, the undergrowth.
Oh yeah, this guy here probably is the most distinct one. That contour there. So that's just one hill though, and it's all pretty flat. Like the highest hill in this part is, probably 2 contours.
So what was really nice about this specific leg is they called it the logging tracks, which are marked underneath, and I think
that
most
guy
of us
there
kind of found one and would follow that most of the way. So that was really nice. It was like really important to make sure you knew which one you were on, keeping track of which hills you're going up and over. So I knew I was on one that was just slightly north of the line, and when it got close to the first track, it started to bend, so I knew exactly where I was.
Were you using the contours in that first part of the leg, or just using the logging tracks and your compass to get you to the big road?
Yeah, on the first part, I wasn't too worried about knowing exactly where I was. Decided to simplify it, just get to the road, use the compass, and it worked quite nicely.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. If you're going across one of these areas before you hit something like a big catching feature like a road, then you can actually ignore a lot of the detail and just focus on moving fast.
Yeah.
But not all the way to the control.
No.
So you found maybe another line to follow.
Yeah.
So what was your map contact like for this middle block?
On the middle block, I was just making sure that I knew which of the tracks I was on, and I knew when I was bending away around one of the hills, I knew I must be on the one that was that one.
Kind of doing that bend there, right?
Yeah.
Cool. So you've picked up something that's kind of this unique combination. You've got the logging track that's doing a bend, and you've got the hill line here. And I think that's really the only place where you've got that kind of thing happening. So is that something that you were thinking when you're out there, trying to find something that was unique?
Yeah, for sure. Making sure you know where exactly you are, or approximately where you are, because I did know that I was also going to be coming to another ride, and that again was going to be another kind of check that I know where I am.
Cool. And did you know where you were before you hit this ride here?
I knew more or less where I was because of following the track.
Yep.
And then crossing over, I knew which track I was on, and there was a really nice clearing just to the northeast of the control, that one there. And that was the biggest feature, I think, that I used to make sure my entry into the control was accurate.
Yeah, that's a really good point, that there's all these little hills here and you've used none of them, or maybe you're using them secondarily. But the thing that really stands out is the thing that's not a hill.
Yeah.
Because there's only one such clearing, whereas there's multiple hills.
Yeah.
And were you confident coming into this control?
I was, yeah. It was through the clearing and then over the hill, and then I could see where the control was going to be.
What side of that knoll or spur was the control placed?
It was on the west, so
on the west side, so you couldn't see it until you got quite close?
Yeah.
Okay, so you were confident right up until you came around. Just clear this little thing. Yeah, so if the flag's placed there, you know, you're not hunting for it out here. You know exactly your navigational plan all the way around the little spur. That's pretty cool. Okay, we will take a look at 9 to 10. So fairly scary leg. There's a lot of detail on the map.
Yeah.
You don't get the luxury of going with the rides all of the time. You've got to go across a few of them.
Yeah.
So how did you approach this? What was your plan?
So leaving 9, I just wanted to get back onto the main track. Yeah.
Oh, yep. So you guys have gone around the stripe. Oh, nice.
Yeah. I kind of, by this point, I knew I didn't want to go through the stripe. And so I ran up into the clearing and then decided that it would be quite nice, follow one of the rides around the edge of the clearing, just avoiding the thicker stuff. And then the control that the hill that we're just south of there was the one that I was looking for. And when I went up that one, I knew exactly where I was. And so that's where I changed my direction to go towards the control.
Right. So instead of carrying around that way, you're now lining this sucker up.
Yeah.
So what are you thinking at this point here? Because there's plenty of space to get this wrong.
Mm-hmm. I think I was kind of just double checking that I did know exactly where I was. So checking that the depression that was coming up was in fact where I was expecting it to be. So the one that I was just about to go in there. And by this point, I was looking ahead and I could see what I was meant to be aiming for, and I could see the big slope coming up.
Right. So this depression here, that's a nice stepping stone. Mm-hmm. You know exactly where you are when you see that guy. And you've identified that there's this hill here with these two kind of hilltops that you have to go up and over, and there's another contour there as well. So if you simplify it like that, you can kind of ignore all of this stuff, which is, I mean, it's just psyching me up looking at it all. But if you find these nice stepping stones that you've picked, you just go 1, 2, 3. Did you feel safe using those?
I did. I knew pretty much where I was. I can remember going into this control, I was getting a bit uncertain when I was going up the slope. I think I wasn't looking at my compass quite enough to know exactly where I was. And I think there's a point, about there when I was kind of like, oh, actually, I'm not going to that point. I need to go around. And then I could see, when I got up to the saddle, I could see where I was aiming for, where the hill was.
Cool. Yeah, and that's not bad to do some hesitations and stop when I think the stakes are a bit higher on a leg like this.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll clear this, and let's have a look at this third longer one. Again, similar situation. Some of the rides, some of these forestry tracks those little clearings can help you out, but not all of them. You've got to tackle the contours. You have to find a way to simplify this.
Yeah, so my initial plan for this one, I was running out to the track and I was thinking, I'm going to go around the track. And then I got to the track and I was thinking, I'm going to go around the track. And then I was kind of looking at it, I'm like, I know my strength is not running around tracks. I'm much better running through terrain. And so that's when I decided, actually, like, I don't think I would gain anything from going around the track. And I'm happy taking a bearing across. I decided I still did want to go down the track, however far, to kind of avoid the main green strip, kind of around number 15.
So you've seen this area here might be worth avoiding. The undergrowth is going to slow you down too much. But there as well.
And there's also the hill just behind that is unnecessary climb.
Yep, some up and downs there that you can avoid.
Yeah,
so it looks like you've found the gap between those. Cool. So what are you using across this area? You've got a number of these ridge lines.
Yeah. So I was mainly focusing on the ridge lines. I think it was approximately where my GPS is now that I realized Amelia was just behind me. We had run together for quite a few controls, but when I messed up 8 and 9, she'd got in front. And so I think about that point, I was starting to lose contact. I didn't actually know which ridge I was on, which is why I kind of started aiming more towards the road to see if I could double check what I was on.
Right. So you thought you could have been maybe in here between those two ridges, or maybe in here between these two.
Yeah.
Or in
even
here.
in the one that's further up.
True.
But it was really good when I was starting to get a bit closer to the control. The clearing to the west, it was really, really obvious. And so it was when I saw that, I'm like, yeah, cool, I know exactly where I am, and went in from there.
How far away could you see that clearing from?
I think it was about there is where I noticed it. It wasn't until I was about there that I thought, actually, no, I really need to look up and see if I can identify a feature to figure out exactly where I am.
Yeah, there's really good use of the visibility. I think a lot of people find themselves getting concerned with what's close to them, but if you look further afield, something that stands out, again, it's very unique, that big clearing. Well, I guess there's one down here, and that would be very strange if you managed to end up there, but discounting that, it really does help you out, and you can ignore all of these similar looking hills here. They don't really help you. They all look too similar.
Yeah.
Cool. So you got some confidence from that. Then when did you reconnect yourself with the contours?
So I saw the hill that I knew was the one that had the 3 knolls on top, and was like, cool, I know exactly where I am. I need to go straight over this hill, and the control will be more or less visible from the other side.
Mm-hmm. So this is really, an attack point, and a really good attack point as well, because it is higher than everything else in this area around it. And you can probably, see the control site from the top of the attack point. So that's perfect. and you've come up and over. Looks like Lizzie did something quite similar at the end.
Mm-hmm. I think by the time that I realized where I was in relation to the clearing, I probably could have gone around the hill, but I decided that it was going to be just as quick going straight over. So might have been a bit more effort, but
yeah, and you get that benefit of the height, so you can actually have maybe a straighter path into the control because you can see it. Mm-hmm. Cool. Well, that's pretty tough. Some pretty tough legs, and I know that I get fairly scared when I see these legs and the clock's ticking and the pressure's on. So you've done really well, and there's more of them later in the course that keep pressuring you. How did you feel tackling some of these harder legs towards the end of the course when you're getting tired?
Getting towards the end of I made a really big mistake at number 15 and lost a lot of time there. And by that point, I was kind of like, I just want to clean up my navigation and just really kind of focus on knowing where I am, knowing where I'm going.
Oh, you only just missed it. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot to lose.
Sorry.
Cool. Well, thanks for taking me through those legs in particular. I think people will find this really useful. Thanks very much, Lara. I'll see you later.
See ya.
So that was pretty cool. I think the orienteering in some of our maps in New Zealand is truly world class. The detail is amazing, and whether it's because there's areas that are vague and you have to be really precise on a few small features, or because the area is so detailed that it's overwhelming, there are always ways to come out on top, and there are always ways to completely lose it also. And someone who's been doing orienteering for years, I'm sure, has had a taste of both ends of the spectrum. It was interesting hearing Lara's approach to some of those legs. You could see just the good rules to follow, like picking out unique features. That first one with the clearing, I didn't actually see the clearing and was expecting her to pull some trickery with small hills, but of course sometimes the answer to finding the control is easier than you thought, and you really need to invest that time to look at the map and see where's the trick. Is it that you're in open farmland and it's like some detailed taupo contours, and there's just a tree like beside maybe 10 meters from the control, and you can ignore everything and just gun it to the tree and forget all of the detailed contours? Or is it a sand dune terrain like this where there's just one key clearing and you can ignore all of the hills and just sneak on in there and get the control safely? But sometimes you do have to read a lot of the detail, and it was interesting to see Lara lose contact but not lose her head, right? I don't know exactly where I am. There's a number of possibilities. I know the possibilities aren't endless, but there's still 4 possibilities where I could be. What can I find that is unique in this situation? What sets this ridgeline apart from the others? And of course, it wasn't even the ridgeline. It was, it was its position relative to a clearing that set the ridgeline apart. So she knew exactly where she was based on really using her eyes and looking out in the distance. So they're crucial tips for doing sand dune terrain, where you're trying to go straight, you're trying to go fast, and you're reaching out both sides in front of you to find the things that really stand out and help pull you through the terrain. You don't need to be reading every tiny little bit of detail, but you need to know what's worth reading and know what's not worth your effort. So that's the trick there, and that's pretty cool to hear from Lara. And you can see the GPS tracking of those races on Loggator, loggator.com. There's tracking there from the elite courses on the weekend. So thanks for listening, and see you next time.